the bum, and I totally agree with you. The bum, their version of microchip.
Yeah.
And for me, I would never trust a man who can be lured by a remote control car with a bottle of whiskey on it. And that's going to be my sidekick.
What's your favorite scary movie? Swallow this.
Hey, looks like we're back. Mr. John Fallon, Lance Velchuk, talking once again on the Air on the Head show. John, it's been a long time, 7 days. How have you been? I always ask this, and I'm always well.
So you're always gonna ask me that, right?
One day I won't, and you're not gonna ask me what I'm doing, how I feel, how my life has been. So I'm gonna continue.
I don't really give a just between you and me.
Oh, all right. But what are you drinking, John? What are you drinking?
Oh, we're going straight to that, eh? Look, we're continuing our the Punisher run. So if you guys haven't caught us talking about the Punisher Warzone in honor of Ray Stevenson, it's on the channel. Punisher 2004 with the great Thomas Jane, it's on the channel. Our really candid sit down with Thomas Jane himself, it's on the channel. And now we're taking on 1989, Dolph Lundgren starring The Punisher, the first one out the gate. But before then, go ahead.
Drinks. What are you drinking?
Just felt appropriate. On the rocks.
Okay.
Anyways, I have a Pepsi here.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not gonna use it. So
fair enough, man.
What about you?
Well, I am drinking. I made a little cocktail called the Punisher, which
nice.
I felt that it was quite appropriate for the last chapter. We're ending it now because we're just doing the movies, so we're ending with the first.
Yeah,
so,
we're
John,
ending with the first. I mean, yeah, let's go. Let's go to cheers. Yeah, to Frank Castle.
Frank Castle.
Hello, my friend.
Hey! Who knows? Maybe we'll do a TV show at some point. The series, Netflix series.
I think it'd be fun to revisit, and you and me could discuss. We never done a series.
I love the first season. I love the first season. Second season was still solid, but not as much. But guys and dolls, do yourself a favor, and you too, Lance, because you probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But go watch the first trailer Netflix did for Punisher TV series, and it's set to One by Metallica. But it uses guns being loaded, guns cocked, clips in. It is fucking amazing. Actually, here's just like 8 seconds of it. That's how you make a trailer, dude. That is just I rewatched it recently just because I'm on a Punisher kick. I'm like, holy shit, that trailer is dope as fuck. And I just said dope with a straight face. So there you have it.
A Tale of Two Cities, John. A Tale of Two Cities. Because I was going to say, I'm at least the first time I watched it, kind of half and half on the first season. But one of my favorite scenes for me, and I'm going to use music, is when Jigsaw's in his penthouse apartment and they're going to kill him. And he just comes out to a nice deep cut of Creedence Clearwater Revival's Penthouse Popper. And he's just fucking killing all the agents and walking down. He's all cool. And I was like, so it's funny that, like, obviously to you, the Metallica thing got you. But I was like, ooh, some forward. Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe we will do the fucking series, but even though they're no longer on Netflix. But yeah, so let's jump in. 1989, directed by Mark Goldblatt, who's actually an action editor. He edited True Lies, Terminator 2, Commando, Hollow Man. So,
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers. And he's only directed 2 movies, which is the Punisher that we're talking about, and Dead Heat with I can't believe the late Treat Williams, ironically enough. And I think he did a TV show, some shit, but who cares? Then I'm gonna come out the gate and say it showed that the director was an editor, and I say that in the sincerest, most complimentary way I can. because this dude knows how to fucking shoot action. And not only that, it's a product of its time, 1989. It's macho, one-man army action. So, for example, when Frank Castle, drops down into the casino, with an M60, yeah, and gang, 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 gang. So you got the CU close-ups. Like they're called CUs, by the way, in the film industry. You got close-ups of the bullets coming out, and turns the gun, and the barrel is straight, dead on in camera. Boom, then it cuts to the guy flying. And I'm like, yeah, this guy, his visual style, but specifically with the action scenes, he really excelled.
Obviously, I would say that every Punisher that we've actually reviewed is reflective of its time almost to a fault. The Ray Stevenson was like that sort of late 2000s. It was kind of music video edited and just kind of like rap rock kind of style. The 04 was, I would say, like kind of a more polished Marvel sort of movie. This is exactly that sort of Schwarzenegger Stallone thing. The Punisher kind of seems like it was retrofitted into it, but I love this movie for it. I actually think it's sort of shiny example of why I think it holds up in a pretty good way. And schlocky, of course. When he comes in, what makes this that old school action movie is that they actually focus on him just blowing shit up. Because stuff that's like, okay, but it doesn't really matter. He's just blowing up the casino. Like it doesn't need to be close up on gun, close up on bullets, close up on glass blowing, but we have like a 6-minute scene where it's masturbatory. And I love that. I mentioned in an old video that they don't do gunplay anymore.
Guns are cool.
Yeah.
Guns are cool. Guns are macho. And here I got the biggest gun in the room. And I'm going to blow shit up just because.
Everything about this works, even when it doesn't. And I'll give this credit for Mark Goldblatt here. Obviously he's good at action, but I would say his framing and movement is also really good. There's a lot of cool like push-ins, pull-outs, stuff where I kind of felt like, okay, for even a guy that is pretty much new at this, it didn't feel clunky. It didn't feel stale. I mean, action aside, even when it's not action, I felt like this guy knew how to kind of direct a scene. I was like, I wish I would have given this more credit back in the day,
Some things age like what's the expression, like fine wine. Usually an editor that goes into directing, especially if it doesn't have all the money in the world and this wasn't like a huge budget, he thinks like an editor. So he shoots for what he needs to cut. He sees duck, everything he needs to cut. Of course, a director that's not an editor has to do that as well. Get a shot list down, so, start with the wide and then, punch in and then, reverse and shit like that. But an editor has a bit of a leg up on that, in my opinion, obviously, because going in, he already knows, okay, this is what I need to make this fucking scene badass, and I'm going to get it. So Bing, give me this, give me that, give me that, give me that. And that's it. So he, him being an editor, an action editor on top of that, having, edited some of the most iconic action movies that we know, Terminator 2, like we said before, Commando, really lent the film well. Actually, one of my favorite scenes, there's a lot of favorite scenes, to be honest, but one of them is the dock. Ziplining down with a machine gun, then he lands, starts fucking everybody up, and one of my favorite bit, some guy like wraps a chain around him and he just takes out that shotgun. Boom! He just blows him into like a crate or some shit. I thought that was awesome, and that movie is filled with that stuff, like awesome action moments, man, excessive and don't give a fuck moments, and I love that about it.
Okay, you forgot the best part though about the zip line is that he's on the roof and there's a guy near a van. And he shoots the crossbow into the guy. And then zip lines down, is like, basically his body is like holding it in and then shoots everybody. Yeah. I mean, I wrote that down. It's like, that alone. If somebody comes and says, I don't like Punisher with Dolph Lundgren, I tell them that part, their response needs to be, I apologize. You are right. That's an amazing movie. Because if not, then, I don't trust you around children or small animals. We used to make movies, John. We used to make movies.
I agree. And then they have the fight scene on the thing that rotate, and it shows, I don't know if you're aware of this, but, Dolph Lundgren, who of course plays Frank Castle, with his mascara beard, which we'll go.
I wrote that down.
He's I think 3rd degree karate champion, third. I know it's
Yeah, I know something good.
yeah. And a lot of people that they hired to fight were like Japanese martial artists. And Dolph learned the hard way that they have a code, and their code is they can't fake it.
I read this actually that they
Yeah.
have to have. I don't know if it's full contact, but they have to.
Oh no, no, he got his ass whooped. Well, not his ass whooped. I mean, but he got hit in the
Yeah,
face.
it's contact, right? Yeah,
Yeah, there was pretty much full contact, and you
Oh.
see it in the scene with the things rotating, and you see it in the scene at the end where he fights these two like samurai looking dudes. That really made the fights look genuine, like real. Like you're
Authentic.
watching it, and it wasn't edited like they edit action movies in like the Bourne era, a lot of quick cuts, and you don't really see what's going on because people can't really fight.
Yeah, they show
But
wide.
this
they
is a
show-
lot of wides and just punch-ins for inserts and stuff like that. In that respect, in the action department, this movie is top dog. I just want to mention, because we're talking about the action, the scene at the end, like when he teams up with the mob boss, who's played by the great, give me a sec. Oh man, you have to have a fucked up name, eh? Jérôme Crabbe.
He's the bad guy from Living Daylights.
Yes, he is actually very affable actor. Like even when he plays a bad guy, you kind of like him. There's something about him that's very likable. But when they team up, if you remember, and they get in the elevator, it opens and there's a dojo. Kind of like everybody's like kind of like, I don't know what they're doing. They're just sitting there. Or
Yeah, they showed early in the movie to set up.
And then right there, and with the music, dum 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 dum, they mow everybody down. Right there, it's a higher body count than most action movies today. Just that scene.
I love it's very Machine Gun 80s, just taking, oh my God. Yeah. Gratuitous. And that's why I like it.
Well, yeah. If I want real life, I'll just keep living my life. When I watch
Just keep waking up.
action movie, especially an action movie like The Punisher, who's a guy who's basically his day to day is finding scumbags and fucking him up. Then, let's check up the volume. And Punisher 89 really jacked it up big time.
There's what, 4 Punishers, right? Dolph, we have Jane, Ray Stevenson,
Yeah,
and we have Bernthal, right? And they're all different in their own ways. What I like a lot about Dolph's performance, or his version, is I think the vibe and the look is good. And when he's shooting and kicking ass, I do believe it.
Yeah.
But when he's not kicking ass, it gets a bit goofy. There's a couple times where I laughed at it instead of with it. But at the same time, this not
Same
like
one.
when he's on the stretcher, the torture device, and he's supposed to come off tough, and I was like, no, not funny.
Do you think I give a shit?
Where is the dope coming into?
I just think that Dolph, at times, doesn't have the delivery that he needs. He has the look over anything, I do. I don't think he always nails the castle part as much as he nails the Punisher, but he was hired for being a big, tall motherfucker that could have that sort of chiseled look, and a lot of times that works.
No, I disagree. I don't.
I can tell.
The quote unquote goofy moments, as you said. Well, actually, you didn't say goofy, but I'm saying it. From Dolph, is not his fault, in my opinion. It's the script's fault. It's the lines when he's on the stretcher and stuff, and the lines he has to say there. I don't remember what the lines were, but I do remember it wasn't like one of the strongest moments of the movie. But it's not because of him; it's because of the lines. In my opinion, my useless opinion that is obviously superior to yours.
Maybe if you get it over with now, you won't grow up to be like him.
One word came watching it, and he really brought the Punisher, I think, to a much darker level than everybody else has done it. He's soulless. He is fucking soulless, this guy. He's dark. More in parallel with Frank Miller's Dark Knight than it is with the Punisher, like in the comics and stuff like that. He's really broken, but broken, we all get broken. I've gotten broken. You've gotten broken. You all have gotten broken. But he's broken to the point of numbness. Aesthetically, what they've done where he lives in sewer, butt naked talking to God. I do that every weekend, by the way. His skin is pasty white. He looks like a ghost, and his soul is dead. Less is more with the character. When it was less, it was more.
No, he has a vibe. We agree on this, though. I think when he doesn't talk as much,
There's a shot when he's holding the picture of his family, and the lighting is like dark here, but it's a bit light.
Yeah, it does the illumination of his eyes. Yeah.
And my favorite scene, and we haven't mentioned this gentleman yet, because my favorite acting scene with Dolph in this movie is because he had, an actor act with that fucking went for an Oscar. Is Lou Gossett Jr. Let me in! Let me in! He says, what do you call 125 kills in 5 years or some shit like that? And he goes, work in progress.
But that's a good line. That's good.
It's
that's
a great
line.
It's a great line. Yes. But when Lou Gossett gives it to him, because, he's going for another supporting actor Oscar like he got for the great An Officer and a Gentleman, Dolph's reaction to him is very genuine, very authentic as to how somebody with no soul would react to his old friend challenging him, confronting him, if you will. When Dolph wasn't at his best, and of course, the accent here and there, but I didn't give a fuck about that.
Work in progress.
When Dolph wasn't at his best, in my opinion, is the script not his fault.
Thank you for your cooperation.
I just have to point out that the villains outside of the main Italian dude, which we already addressed, like Lady Kanaka, I think her name Tanaka.
I liked her.
I saw you. You're looking at your internet database. What's her name?
Well, I was looking at her real name, but I'm like, I don't want to. I couldn't say that well, so I'm just.
Anyways, the head of the Yakuza.
Yeah,
I thought she gave an excellent performance.
Yeah, she's great.
She's freaky as fuck, man.
Didn't give a shit. I was like, I'll kidnap your kids. I'm like, ooh, I like that.
And her henchman, which I was surprised, I had forgotten when I watched it this morning. That hot blonde.
I'm a brunette guy. I didn't notice.
I also liked her henchman or henchwoman. Actually, I'd forgotten it was a woman, but at some point, Frank Castle gets ambushed. I think it's on the circular thing. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. She kicks the shit out of him, and then there's like that beautiful low angle shot. She removes it. Blonde hair, and fairly attractive. I know you like brunettes, but I like all women. All women.
You're a good person, John.
Pardon me?
You're a good person, John.
I try to be. Yeah, I thought she was, I like the fact she hardly spoke. Actually, she didn't speak. She never said a fucking word in the whole movie. I like that.
Just like steely blue eyes and yeah.
And I love her kill. That choke. It's, it reminded me of a Jason Voorhees kill. Like it's if I remember correctly, it's like a wide shot, like a rag doll, very Kane Odderish. So I really like that. Look, let's just go into the negatives, I guess, and probably it'll bring us back to.
Yeah, there's not a ton, being that I think this movie is of its time. But the one thing that I've noticed recently, and this is on my last watch. Like I think it's been about a decade since I watched this, maybe a little less. But so I rewatched it now, and I remember my complaint back then because I just noticed it was I didn't realize the bum rhymed a lot, and now it's one of those once you notice it, you can't unnotice it, and I'm just annoyed as shit.
The bum, and I totally agree with you. The bum, their version of microchip.
Yeah.
And for me, I would never trust a man who can be lured by a remote control car with a bottle of whiskey on it, and that's going to be my sidekick. I wouldn't trust that guy in my fucking laundry, bro.
He'd rat him out the first chance you got. If he was ever captured, the second day, here's where Frank Castle, here's where the Punisher is, here's what he knows. I'll get him. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. He would.
Even the scene, I don't know if you remember the scene when Castle, gave detonators. He put bomb, in the last act, and and the thing falls through like a grate. He's supposed to pull the trigger. And boom, he knocks it and it falls through a grate. And then, it's a scene to immense suspense. And he's trying to, get it in time to help Castle. But I'm like, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Bumbling at it. Yeah.
Sidekick is a fucking alcoholic. And trust me, I have nothing against alcoholics, but a hardcore alcoholic that is swindled by a bottle of whiskey on a fucking remote control car. You don't bring that guy into your world to help you fight evil. But that's
no. You get him aside, give him a bottle of whiskey, get information, and then you leave him alone. But you don't bestow important information that could be spread. This guy, and the actor was fine. He played it well. He played a drunk well. I had a good chuckle or two, but again, he's not necessary and he rhymes. So I'm like, dude, that's 2 out of 2. Like you failed. You failed. That's my big
You
complaint.
remove that character from the movie.
Yeah, I
And the
edit him
movie's
out.
better. The
Yeah,
movie's
yeah.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't upset the narrative one bit. So, all right, my turn. The movie is shot in Sydney, Australia, and it shows. I thought the set designs were like the fun house, for example, with the ninjas. Woo! I thought the set designs were drab, kind of eh. It's funny how every cinematic incarnation, I'm not going to talk about the TV show, but Punisher Lundgren, they shot in Australia. Punisher Jane, they
Tampa.
shot in Tampa. And Punisher Stevenson, they shot in Montreal. And actually, funnily enough, I said I wouldn't talk about TV show. I lied. They actually shot in New York. So God bless TV show. It's almost it's such, in my opinion, a very simple formula. They killed my family. Live in the big city. And now I'm fucked up and I got a lot of guns. I'm gonna kill everybody. That is bad. That's it. That's the formula. But for some reason, every single movie is not able to nail these very simple ingredients. You know, Dolph has the Dolph version has the excessive body count, the darkness, whatnot. The Thomas Jane version has, you know, Ennis, the Ennis, you know, the neighbors, your favorite neighbors, the Russian, and a lot of the soul of the source material. The Ray Stevenson version actually parallels a bit the Dolph Lundgren version, but with more gore. It's gorier. It's almost like
Absolutely.
a 13 movie, you know, whatever. But it has more of the one-man army shtick that 89 had than the Jane one had. If you take elements from all three, you could make the perfect Punisher movie. But it kind of blows the mind that such a simple formula has not been nailed 100% in 3 movies.
One, it was before comic movies and that sort of thing had the respect it did. So they sort of kind of, you know, there's no skull logo. They made a one-man army. It's a Punisher, and I do think they get some things
you
right.
know, I got to pause because you brought it up. I was going to bring it up at the end, but I always thought, because there was a lot of rumors around why there was no skull logo. I mean, you have the skull on the knives, remember, at the tip of the knife?
Yeah, that's how they know it's Castle. Yeah.
And I had heard there was Marvel had given them a restricted license, but no, it winds up that the director Goldblatt and the producer, his last name's Kamen, I don't remember his first name, just didn't want it. They thought it was cheesy. And screenwriter Boaz Yakin, he wrote the skull in. And they were allowed to use the skull on the shirt. He wrote it in. Did it, and you know, like I said, director, producer didn't want it. And he even tried to pardon me?
It's before comic books were a thing. So yeah, they looked down on this.
Yeah, but you know, he wanted it, like he spray paint, you know, Frank Castle spray painted it, you know, like roughly, you know, and that's it. And I said, no. So I said, how about for the ending? He'll put, you know, Kevlar, and it'll be pretty much what they did on the Thomas Jane version. Yeah. I said, nah. So that's why there's no skull, because the director and the lead producer didn't want it. It had nothing to do with Marvel restricting, you know, the rights of the properties.
I actually always
thought I always thought it was until like fairly recently. So, point being is the skull was missed, in my opinion. I would have liked.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I would have liked that skull there, like they did in the Jane version. In the Jane version, the skull looks, not when he finds the T-shirt on the beach and you know he's got the beard. But, you know, when he puts the Kevlar on, the sleeveless bulletproof vest, and the way it's spray painted, it looks fucking cool as fuck, dude. It looks handmade. That's what I like. Yeah?
I like the Warzone one the best, personally. I like a little faded on the Kevlar. But whatever.
You're an asshole, my friend.
That welcome to my life.
Yeah.
No, but what I was trying to say is that each of them fucked it up for a different reason. I just think that they didn't respect the character enough in the 89 version. I think the 04 version, it was too much of a prequel. You know, it didn't, you know, it was, I thought for the most part up until
it wasn't a prequel. It was what they did in the 04 is they did an origin story.
So that's what I mean by prequel.
Okay,
that's Stardust. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong word, but yes, an origin story.
Elements from, you know,
yeah, I don't,
the Ennis stuff, you know, Frank Castle really down the road, you know, so.
but it was also very polished. It's just different vibes in Tampa. And then, obviously when it comes to Warzone, they had absolutely no money. So essentially besides Daredevil season 2, and we could talk about the actual show, the Punisher has always been undercut somewhere at some point. Like we've never seen a fully realized theatrical version. Thomas Jane's sequel could have been that.
Yeah.
If they put the money, or if they gave Dirty Laundry a thing, fair enough. But we've never actually had a true movie, honestly, because I love all of them in different ways, but they're all flawed in some way. There's not like
I love Lundgren and
I know we've had 3 episodes. I know.
Okay, I'll shut the fuck up, bro.
I love all of them. I guess I'm lying to you. Why am I lying to you? I don't love that. I don't love the Thomas Jane version at all. I like Thomas Jane, but I don't like the movie. Okay, so 2 for 3. You're 2 for 3 as well. That's very fair.
There you go.
But I like the Punisher enough where every movie has something I like. I just wish, but there's not one where I'm like, man, the movie's amazing. That's my problem.
You know what? Punisher 1989 is amazing.
That's fine.
I just put that on the table. You do with that what you will, man. It's amazing because
Keep it
Dolph
meta.
Lundgren rocks it. He's fucking awesome. The action is exactly what I hoped it would be. And that's what the Punisher is. At the end of the day, the Punisher's, is an action movie. Of course, there's a dramatic undertones, not undertones, actually, overtones. There's a dramatic element to the Punisher story. But, I'm not watching it to see, Remains of the Day. I'm watching.
I love that you always use Remains of the Day.
I've
That's
used
your
Remains
go-to.
of the Day when I was the Arrow reviewing movies.
What?
And
I
this
don't even know
was
what that
like,
is.
fucking
I don't
20
even
years
know what
ago.
it is. What is Remains of the Day? I was
It's
just
an
kind of
Anthony Hopkins, Emma Thompson movie that I've never seen, but I know it's pretentious and boring, and I'll never watch it. So, as I was saying,
funny. I just so you know, for some reason, if you said that, my immediate thought was the Bridges of Madison County. That to me
actually, I
seems
love
like
that movie, dude. So fuck you.
Of course,
Meryl Streep, Clint Eastwood, come on.
boring. Oh, my pretentious and boring.
Right here.
Okay,
It
continue.
ain't Remains of the Day. Okay, it's the Punisher, and I think 89 does what it has to do, and that's it.
Not gonna argue.
Any other negatives?
Mobster kids, they annoy the shit out of me.
Yes.
I don't,
Thank
but
you.
then again, dude, a lot of kids kids suck in general, but
That
Anytime
white
you-
kid had a fucking fro like this fucking big, man.
every time you put a kid's like a sort of a plot point that they actually have to do something or talk, I get annoyed. If they were just kids strung up with socks on, I wouldn't care. But they have dialogue. I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those. It's negative, but I don't care. Whatever. Like it's an 80s movie. I'm okay. That's it, man.
The kids, especially the son of the head mobster, had a bit
Yes.
too much lines, too many
Yeah.
lines, too
Cut that
much
shit.
with the fro. Yeah. But I like the stuff with the kids. What came out and that's what I love about the 80s. The mean spiritness, it's mean. Yeah, like when the kids get kidnapped, the nanny with the bunny, and the nanny gets like a bullet in the fucking head.
Yeah, the 80s weren't worried about your sensitivities.
No, they were not. They were not pussified like today's society.
I grew up in 80s movies, so remember my 80s kids movies would be like The Labyrinth, where it's monsters and David Bowie's Big Fucking Package, or Little Monsters, where they're just trying to murder kids. Like everything. When I was a kid, things try to kill you. It's very normal to me. It's like, there's that meme. It's so old now. It's like Elf on the Shelf. In my day, when a toy came alive and tried to murder you and your whole family, it's like that's true.
Yeah.
Even kids movies were like, your mother or father will die.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, continue. Yeah.
The good old days. The good old days. My last negative is actually a scene that we talked about before. Is the casino scene.
Oh, it doesn't do anything. It's gratuitous for no reason, but it's fun.
No, it's not. It's gratuitous if when he has pretty much the biggest gun he has in the entire film it's an M60 with a fucking grenade launcher underneath.
Oh, it's just property damage. Yeah.
And no mobsters get whacked.
No, it's just property
He
damage.
kicks
No,
one
yeah.
in the face. I think he throws a knife. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on throwing the knife. But even when I saw it in 1989, I was like, oh, fuck, he crashes down M60. It's party time. And then he blows up a bunch of fucking shit machines. That's it. There's like maybe 2 or 3 people that die. 2, I think. Not from the machine gun. He just does property damage, and that always annoyed me because it could have been an iconic scene, you know, where you know the fucking low angle comes to the class M60. Let's go.
Okay, here's the thing. You're right. You're absolutely right. But it's one of those things that I think you're 100% right, and that's why the scene is stupid. But because the scene is so stupid, it's a great scene. Because he doesn't kill anybody, he just like spends all this time close-ups and blowing up just machine. It's basically it's so bad it's good. But what you're saying, and I agree with you, is that it could have actually been just a legit cool scene. It didn't need to be like a really goofy, awesome, funny
It
scene.
could have been like, you know, a
The
section
docs.
from Commando.
Yes.
You know, when in Commando at the end, where he basically annihilates like a third world country on his own. Yeah, he's just walking around, going from weapon to weapon. But that's another movie, guys. Let's just stick to the M60 with Dolph. Yeah, no, but you know, with that said, now that we've been talking about the thematic from the '80s of men with guns just blowing shit up because we love guns, I can accept the scene a bit more, but it always disappointed me before. That's all.
I'm not gonna fight Shannon. I'm not gonna fight Shannon. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't have anything else. So if you want to jump in, but I mean,
Well,
you're right. You're right for sure.
I'll finish it up with this in case you guys and dolls don't know. This movie was initially going to star Christophe Lambert, the star of Highlander.
You French son of a bitch. Yeah, of course. I was going to say, you mean
Lambert,
Lambert? Christopher Lambert?
Lambert,
I
emmerdeur.
understand. Yeah.
Va te faire foutre. And he sprained an ankle, so he couldn't do the shoot.
It's probably better.
And this is
Lundgren.
'89 Lambert. You know?
Yeah, but
Not
Lundgren's probably
Lambert,
better.
Lambert. Yeah.
I'm an American. But I'll show you trailers right now where it's like starring Christopher Lambert.
No, I'm just fucking around. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that I love that man. He will always be the Highlander. He'll always be Raiden to this little child. But I think they made the right choice. As much as I like him, Dolph has the I think the physique.
Hey, he looks like a tank, bro. He looks like
where it's like Lambert's cool, but Lambert's like more of a John McClane. Like he's a smaller guy,
again,
scrappier.
Dude, Thomas Jane is not a tank.
But Thomas Jane had the muscles. Though.
Well, yeah, he trained like an animal to play the role. You don't think Lambert would have done the same? I'm gonna keep saying Lambert just to piss you off.
I don't think Lambert would have, or I don't think he would have. In those days, I don't think we were is sort of focused on that. Unless you're like steroid user like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, I don't think the small guy truly had to jack up. I don't think we had that middle
Thomas
ground.
Jane was a small guy that jacked up.
Yeah, but that's 2004. This is 1989, so I don't think he would have. I don't think the time in the 80s, late 80s, was making small guys do that. I don't think it was. I think that's more of a modern thing. I think that people either did steroids or they didn't. So I don't think Lambert would have been buff enough. And also, he's not tall enough. The Punisher needs to be tall.
So in closing, I want to say two things. Número uno. ¿Por qué el caballo come una manzana? Y no comprende por qué. Now,
Estoy cansado.
yeah, I'm starting to learn Spanish, so just go with it. I just asked why the horse won't eat an apple. I don't get it. But anyways, it was a shame that movie didn't get a wide theatrical release in the United States.
Came out in 91.
Pardon me?
Yeah,
they shelved it. They shelved it. It came out in the rest of the world. Then they shelved it and gave it straight to VHS at the time.
That's where I found it, like an 8-year-old kid in the video store. Yeah.
I remember reading about it in Mad Movies, the French version of Fangoria.
You mentioned it before, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that had to do with what was the name of the production company again? The same guys did Hellraiser.
Yeah, New World.
New World. New World kind of went into financial trouble, so they can be fucked, and they got bought out or something, whatever the fuck. So I want to say it's a shame because it's a much better movie than people give it credit for.
Agree.
I also want to mention, because this was accidental. Lance and I did not know this, and I'm pretty sure Lance does not know this right now. He's going to find out in 5 seconds. I saw a finger left
counting
after
down.
password.
Oh my god.
Okay. That Marvel just put out their last Punisher comic book.
For the time being, is it?
No, last. That's what they're saying. Whether it's true or not, or time, time.
Nothing ends.
They're last.
Okay,
but
they're walking
Marvel
away.
is now owned by Disney.
I know. I have stocks in Disney. Good.
Fuck Disney. So Frank Castle is not the type of character
No.
that meshes
No.
with Disney. So they kind of ended his fucking run, where his wife comes back from the dead, because now they kind of went like supernatural. And she tells, dude, I read this shit. I'll never read these fucking comics. I'll wipe my ass with it if I run out of toilet paper. But she comes back from the dead and tells him, yo, I was going to leave you before I got whacked. So just FYI, your whole crusade's for nothing. I'm like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Stugazzi.
Well, whatever. I have 3 movies that each thing have moments I love. I like the idea of the Punisher. I like the character. I like him in Daredevil season 2. So you know what? Like, fair enough. I'm the kind of guy that believes you should always leave on a high note. Not necessarily that there is a high note here, but I'm willing to walk away with what I love of this character. I don't care what Disney does. Like, whatever. I'll have mine. It's not like even they made a new one right now. I mean, they're going to he's going to be in the Disney version of the Daredevil, but I don't care. Like, it's not going to be the same. So
yeah, no, I heard that
it's
too.
over.
Like, they
It's
want to
over.
keep, like, the comics are dead for now, but they want to bring Bernthal and put him into the Marvel universe. And by the way, Disney, fucks. That's the worst idea ever. Okay, I know you're gonna fucking neuter the Punisher. You're gonna
they have to. They
bitch.
have to.
You're gonna cut those fucking balls off. Then don't bother. Don't bother, man. I'm getting aggravated. Sorry. Fucking Disney, man.
You got to walk away on a high note, sir. Walk
Yes,
away.
high
on a
note, high note. Guys and dolls. Punisher 89. Or let us know. Massacre the comments below. And actually, I'm curious to everybody that's going to comment below and say, man, it's not really that good, blah, 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 which is fine. It's your opinion. I respect it. Lance doesn't because he's an ass, but I do because I'm your friend. But if you're going to fucking shit on it, also write down when's the last time you saw it. And if it's like a couple years back, watch it again. Then we'll talk.
Hey, guys, and to end with, of course, the most important part, John and I, the Aaron Head Show, have an 888 number that we'd like you to call.
Mm-hmm.
Questions, recommendations, or anything movie related that you're kind of into that obviously is genre related, that is a part of us.
Or even questions, for us as, human beings, you want to know my favorite color, if I like anal or vaginal, those kind of questions.
Fair enough, my friend. So the number is, I'm going to read it off, 888-39-ARROW, which is 888-39-27-769.
69.
888-39-27-769. So,
and Mom, stop calling and leaving messages and saying I was a failure. I'm not. Sorry, I just had to let that out. Dude, always great to see you, brother. Always great to see you guys and dolls. Cheers. Watch Punisher Lundgren again.
here's buddy.